transpired in the last 48 hours and the things that they say are going on. Of course, today is March 11th. So we'll talk about, of course, what people have been chatting about for the last week, which is there were rumors that Russia was going to disconnect its internet. I would like to preface this video with just letting you know that that has not happened yet. And of course, Russia is now 1:10 a.m. Or at 1:12 a.m. And it is on the 12th in Russia. So we don't know, of course, if that is still going to happen or if that's going to happen at all. The sources on that were shaky, but there were some serious kind of chatter about that because it did come out of Belarusian news outlets, basically telling people to switch. One thing to think there is that it could very well be that not enough people got over to the new system, to .ru, and they're giving them more time. I don't know. But we'll talk about that here in a second. First of all, Fortress Kyiv, Russian troops and a 40-mile death convoy move into attack positions near Kiev as Ukrainians fortify every street and home. So we covered over the last couple nights that there is word of them basically lining up 10,000 Molotov cocktails on rooftops, and people are going to get prepared and essentially give them all they got. I don't know if that is to push the world to see that it's, you know, just regular people on their rooftops throwing Molotovs at these things. One thing I think of is how we were told that there was this massive straight line, convoy that had miles and miles. They said 40 miles of convoy. And then they showed us pictures and video of this huge line of tanks and other vehicles of Russian aggressors. And yet then they said that they went in and swooped in and destroyed a whole bunch of them. And then within like 6 hours, they had three-letter agencies like CNN walking down the line saying, you know, oh, look at this destruction. A lot of people are very, very apprehensive to believe a lot of things coming out right now. And it's quite a shakeup just as far as the whole world is going. We of course have a ton of different things happening. It says satellite images show Russian tanks and other vehicles heading towards Kiev, while other aerial footage appears to reveal military equipment being stationed outside the capital. The images from Maxar, which has been monitoring the invasion since the start, were taken close to Antonov Airport, just miles from the city. A large military convoy can be seen traveling along the main road. Images appear to show the infamous 40-mile convoy of Russian vehicles stalled near Kiev for almost 2 weeks has now dispersed as rocket artillery has moved into firing positions for an assault on the city. It says today the UK defense minister has claimed that Russia is likely to want to resume its offensive in Kiev in the coming days. The huge column was seen first on February 28th after grinding to a halt on the main highway leading south to the capital after being hit by breakdowns, fuel shortages, and supply problems. So how do they know that? That's the other thing. Like, how do they know that they're hitting fuel shortages, supply problems, all this? It's all according to Ukrainian officials. I'm sorry, but anytime you have any kind of major conflict, there's Ganda all over the place, and there's information conflicts as far as, you know, everything that is coming out has always come from the Ukrainian side. Now, it doesn't matter what two sides it would be, if it was the U.S. and China, or if it was, if it was two Middle Eastern countries, both of them are going to be putting out information that makes their side, of course, you know, more victorious or look better than the other. It says it originally set off from Belarus and has been making its way south towards Kiev via Chernobyl nuclear power plant. So they're saying it went from that Chernobyl power plant site. If you remember, we actually showed you that they placed these very specialized boats that all are connected to a piece of water bridge, and these boats push in a water bridge across. And we showed you before the whole Chernobyl thing happened. In fact, before even the invasion happened, if you go back through our videos, we showed you that water bridge that they made, and it was a huge bridge that was essentially held in place by boats. That kind of told us, even before anybody said anything about Chernobyl, that they were going to go over and take Chernobyl. So is that the bridge that actually brought this whole convoy in there? I don't know. Again, if there's an expert out there, let me know. It says, but fresh satellite images taken on Thursday after a break in cloud cover show commanders on the move again, breaking up the column, which had become vulnerable to Ukraine counterattacks. Rocket artillery and supply trucks were pictured taking up firing positions in fields outside of Berestyanka, a small town 30 miles north of Kiev. Their tire tracks visible in the countryside. Well, not far away in Lubyanka, vehicles have been seen parked in forests as parts of possible camouflage attempt, and an estimated 15,000 troops along the fuel tankers and ammunition trucks are believed to be in the convoy. So they're saying that there's backup and they're going to take it. And then President B says, we will not fight the third world conflict in Ukraine. He specifically said that. He said during a visit Friday to Pennsylvania that the U.S. supports Ukraine in the conflict against Russia up to what Russia will consider an act of conflict. And it says, quote, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in, American pilots and American crews, just understand, don't kid yourself. No matter what you all say, that's called World Conflict 3. And he, of course, said the W word, right? And it says that won't happen, right? So how many times have we been lied to about things like that? How many times, just period, have they been given an official statement to say to people, and then that is completely flipped? In fact, in 2019, when all of the crazy stuff started happening, they said that there would be several things that would never be forced on American people. And then, of course, that totally flipped. And now we are looking at, of course, all of that happened. Almost every single thing. And there's clips of just countless politicians saying, oh, I would never support that. I would never support that. But guess what? Guess what changes the support for something? An event. A massive event will change that. So, of course, all the people that said, hey, we'll never make you do this, well, after a huge number, or they say, oh, this many people, we're suffering of this, then all of a sudden they go, well, now I've of course changed my mind. Look at it. This is a different scenario. This is a different situation. It says that President B calls for ending normal trade relations with Russia. That's another thing as well. It says President JB on Friday called on Congress to join the European Union and the group of 7 industrial nations in suspending normal trade relations with Russia, allowing new tariffs to be imposed in response to the ongoing invasion of Ukraine. It says in a speech, President B said that the U.S. will also ban imports of Russian diamonds, seafood, and vodka, denying Moscow of more than $1 billion in export revenues, according to the White House estimate. It says, quote, and this was President B, says, Putin is the aggressor, and Putin must pay a price. Again, the sanctions and things, a lot of people do not feel like it's really enough. Do you think it's enough? Let me know in the comments down below. It says Ukraine accuses Moscow of a fantastic Freddy operation to lure Belarus into a conflict. Another thing I don't get is it seems like Belarus is kind of all aboard here. It says they are basically saying, it says Kiev has accused Russia of firing at a settlement in Belarus near the border with Ukraine in a fantastic Freddy attempt to draw Minsk into joining Moscow's unprovoked invasion of its neighbor. Ukraine's Air Command said in a statement on March 11th that border authorities received information detailing how Russian aircraft took off from an airfield in Belarus, crossed into Ukrainian airspace, and then fired back across at the Belarusian village of Kopany. It says this is a provocation, goal to get Belarusian armed forces involved in the conflict in Ukraine, the Ukrainian Air Force Command said in a statement. So first of all, I think there's a lot to do with this whole Belarus thing. Belarus has been kind of, totally part of some of the Ganda that came out. They, of course, the Belarusian president showed you, they basically purposely leaked a picture of him sitting at a huge battle map. It went all over the world. Everybody saw this battle map that showed after Ukraine, they would take Moldova. And that picture, of course, was taken. It was almost like he was posing. That showed current information of actual troops, U.S. troops. It showed the 1st Cavalry from Fort Hood. It showed other troops, and it, of course, showed the United States on it. It was a current map, and it showed invasion plans of Moldova after Ukraine. So that, obviously, is kind of fishy. And then, of course, last night we covered more things that Belarus essentially said. Oh, and then the March 11th, the rumor about the internet getting disconnected, that was from a Belarusian news outlet telling companies to switch over to a .ru, otherwise they would be disconnected for good. That again is still a rumor, but it's a very scary one, because if we do see Russia disconnect their internet, well, who knows? We might not. Here's my thought. I don't think that they would disconnect it until they were about to do it. And by do it, I mean a cyber event that the world has never seen. Shut down everything or hack in something. I'm sure that's a pretty big ask there. Now, as far as 3/11, right now it is 3/12 in Russia. So we have passed the date, but that date was public. So did they move that back? We did see that information was put out by the same sources about other things that came true, but they were delayed because supposedly they put out the information. We don't know what to believe right now, but I will say this. They said this entire time, and again, you can say, oh, they were wrong about that and about this. Most of the things they were wrong about was the time frame. As far as them disconnecting their internet, that could happen, and it would happen right as they were doing something. If they were to do a cyber event, which we've been told is the response, that is their response to our sanctions. So that's what they said the entire time. Everything else, it's almost like it's scripted, because it did come true as it was, but it was, all of it was delayed. Maybe they just didn't have their plan together. So I hope that doesn't happen. And again, I really don't. But I would say everybody, including Dex, he just told his family, like, you know, if you are out and about at the store and all of a sudden all the power goes out, don't mind anything. You go home, you go straight home. You don't mind other people. You just drive straight home and you get back. That's what a lot of us are talking about, as far as like, if this did happen, the very small and insignificant chance it does. And I would like to say that that's what it is. Make sure that you have your ducks in a row. All right. And then as far as 3/11 is now 3/12, we'll be watching the scenario. We can't monitor Russian news. RT is gone. You can't even find RT anymore. So this is a big step up. Of course, now they have gotten rid of other news outlets. A lot of the Russian news outlets, you have to go through back doors to even get into. So we don't know what's about to go down. So make sure to have all of your ducks in a row. We're independent. We are doing this by ourselves. If you want to support, go over to our website, marfooglenews.com. If you want to prep, go to marfooglenews.com/prep. That's through My Patriot Supply. You can get a discount on long-term survival food. If you get the 3-month plan, of course, you can actually get $150 off. I appreciate everybody that came in today, and I thank all of you. Make sure to share this out with friends and family. That's what matters most. And again, go over to marfooglenews.com /prep if you do want to prep. I thank everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you on the show on our sister channel, where we go in depth and we show you all of this later tonight. That's over on Marfoogle TV. Again, make sure to go check that out. It's a completely different vibe over there, 2-hour show. All right, have a good night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.